Part 2: Years of dedication and hardship. With no other means of livelihood, Oki made the difficult decision to leave her daughter Sune at her older sister's house and return to school. She could not give up teaching. The profession of a teacher was her only hope and means of survival. Teaching students was a temporary escape from the harsh realities of life. When she held the chalk in front of the blackboard and imparted knowledge to her students, she could momentarily forget her pain. Her voice echoed throughout the classroom, and the children's eyes sparkled with hope. Every morning, she gazed at her daughter's sleeping face with a heavy heart before heading to school. She felt guilty and burdened by her daughter, but she had no other choice. The struggles of life bound her ankles and weighed heavily on her heart. Like being shackled by chains, she could not break free. In 1953, Oki retired after 30 years of teaching at a girls' middle school in Hope City. The years filled with her youth and passion had passed. As she finished her last class and descended from the podium, a mix of emotions filled her eyes. Despite the warm comfort from her colleagues and the longing looks from her students, her heart was focused solely on her daughter Sune. Her steps were no longer light. Her life was now going to be filled only for her daughter. The comfort of being able to protect her daughter outweighed the regret of leaving the classroom. She willingly gave up the joy of self-realization she had gained from her teaching career for her daughter. After retiring, one thought dominated Oki's mind: my daughter's condition has worsened. And I used my profession as an excuse to neglect her alone in the room. This thought pierced her heart with pain. It was a shock, as if being hit hard on the head with a hammer. She was tormented by the guilt of not giving enough love and care to her daughter. As her daughter lay on the bed staring at the ceiling, Oki felt overwhelmed by the guilt of enjoying too much in the world. A lump of guilt rose in her chest, blocking her heart like a firmly closed door. After leaving her teaching career, Oki decided to live a life solely for her daughter. Her remaining years were to be a light for her daughter. Her life was now a grand sacrifice dedicated to her daughter. Oki started teaching her daughter how to read and write. She believed that nurturing her daughter's mind was as important as providing for her physical needs. She wanted to awaken her daughter's mind and open a pathway for her to communicate with the world. She wrote characters on paper, teaching her daughter not only Hangul but also Chinese characters. For her daughter who couldn't hold a pen, Oki painstakingly wrote each character with care. Like an attentive artist imbuing a soul into a painting, she imparted knowledge to her daughter. She read school textbooks and literary works to her daughter. She whispered beautiful lines of poetry in her daughter's ears and told her great stories of the world. Sune quickly grasped reading and writing. Despite her physical disabilities, her mind was sharp and bright. Sometimes she would recite poems that her mother had read to her. Each time her small voice filled the room, Oki's heart was filled with joy. Oki always remembered that although her daughter couldn't move her body, her mind was sharp. Her daughter's small growth was a more precious gift to Oki than any jewel in the world. It was a moment that brought a glimmer of hope back into her life. With her daughter's small smile, it seemed like all her pain melted away. Her dedication bloomed like a seed planted in dry soil, blossoming in her daughter's intelligence.
Up next, story explanation.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're picking up where we left off, exploring that incredible story shared by a listener, Hyogoi, Years of Motherly Love. It's in 4 parts, and today we're hitting part 2.
That's right.
So let's just quickly remind ourselves about part 1. We met Oki, who's now 100, living with her daughter Sune, 68, in Himeng City. And the story took us back, didn't it? Back to 1939. Oki was a young, educated teacher, pretty unique for that time.
Yeah.
Then that awful accident. Her little girl, Sune, just 4 years old, falls badly. Head neck injuries, leading to, well, what seems like total paralysis.
And Oki tried everything, didn't she? Searching for doctors, for any kind of cure.
desperately, but found nothing. And then just adding to the heartbreak, her husband leaves her.
Which just left her in, a truly impossible situation. A young mother, a child needing constant care, no partner, no income.
Right. It felt like total despair, this huge, overwhelming challenge ahead.
Absolutely. And that's where we stopped, that feeling of profound loss, this incredibly uncertain future.
So part 2, which is called Years of Devotion and Hardship. This is where we find out, how she actually faced it. What did life look like next?
Well, the story gets very real here about the choices she had. Or rather, the lack of choices. No money, a daughter needing round-the-clock attention. She had to make a decision.
A really tough one.
Yeah, she felt she had no option but to go back to work, just to survive.
Back to the classroom then. Teaching was her skill, what she knew.
It was.
But wow, imagine the conflict. Needing to earn money, but having to leave her daughter who was so badly injured.
Exactly. The source material calls it her only hope, even her lifeline. It wasn't just a job, it was survival.
And she did it for a long time.
For 30 years, yeah. 30 years teaching. We know she retired in 1953 from a girls' middle school there in Himang City, Nandong district.
That's a whole career, basically. Built out of pure necessity, it sounds like.
Pretty much. A lifetime dedicated to education while juggling everything else.
But then at retirement, something shifted, right? After these 3 decades focused on teaching, providing, the story says this sudden, powerful thought just hit her.
Yes, this is a really crucial moment emotionally. The text says, and it's quite a line, "The thought suddenly struck me that my daughter's condition had worsened, and I had neglected my sick daughter by leaving her alone in the room under the pretext of making a living."
Oh, wow. That's heavy. That weight of guilt. After all that time seeing Sune physically unchanged and feeling she hadn't been there. Yeah, that must have just completely reframed everything for her.
It really speaks to those impossible compromises life forces on you sometimes, doesn't it? She did what she absolutely had to do to keep them going.
But the cost, at least in her own mind, was that time, that closeness.
Exactly. And this realization, this intense feeling, it sparked a complete change in direction for her.
Okay, so what happened?
Well, the story is very clear. She decided then and there that her remaining life, everything from that point on, would be lived only for Sune.
Just entirely focused on her daughter.
Entirely. Her mission became being Sune's light, her helper, her constant support.
So it moved beyond just basic survival.
Oh, much deeper. She knew Sune was physically trapped, so her role had to evolve. It wasn't just about food and shelter now. It was about nurturing the person inside.
Right, nurturing her mind, her spirit. So how did she do that?
Well, she started teaching her daughter herself. The story mentions her writing out Korean characters. That's Hanjul.
The Korean alphabet?
Right. And also Chinese characters, Hanja, on paper for her.
So teaching her to read and write.
Yes, but more than that, too. She read Sune school textbooks. She read her beautiful poetry, great world literature.
Wow.
Oki felt it was just as vital to, feed Sune's mind and soul as it was to be her physical hands and feet.
That's incredible. It's like refusing to let the paralysis define her daughter's whole world.
Precisely. An act of defiance, almost, keeping her inner world alive and growing.
And did Sune respond?
She did. The story emphasizes how intelligent Sune was, how sharp. She learned quickly. Apparently, she even started reciting poetry back sometimes.
Oh, imagine hearing that after everything.
Can you? For Oki, burdened by that guilt, pouring everything into connecting through words, and then her daughter responds. Shows her mind is bright, active.
That must have felt like a miracle.
The story calls that progress the most precious gift. It says it brought light back into Oki's life. It was proof,
Proof that the daughter she remembered, the bright little girl before the fall, was still there inside.
Exactly. Even if her body couldn't move, her mind was alive. And that connection, that intellectual meeting place, became their shared source of hope.
It really underlines something powerful in this part, doesn't it? How focusing on the inner life, the mind, the spirit, that human connection can create purpose and light even when things are physically so dark.
Absolutely. Oki found her new purpose not just in the physical tending, but in this intellectual and emotional communion.
Yeah. It wasn't just duty. It was a deep connection, mind to mind, despite everything. That kind of resilience, finding joy in a recited poem, it's really moving.
It is. It shows how devastating events force these hard choices, like going back to work. But also how a powerful realization, maybe born from that very hardship, can completely reshape your life towards something deeper, a different kind of care.
So we've walked through those early struggles, the long years of work, and then this huge turning point at retirement, rededicating her entire being to Sune's inner world.
Yes.
But like we said, their story covers a century. This isn't the end.
Not even close. Part 2 leaves us right here with this intense focus on Sune's education and spirit. It really makes you wonder, okay, what comes next?
Yeah, what other challenges are waiting? What happens over the next decades? How does this intense mother-daughter bond evolve?
We don't know yet from this part, but it sets up so much more to come.
It really does. This section showed incredible resilience, finding light where you least expect it. Well, thank you for joining us again for this deep dive into part 2 of Years of Motherly Love.
Yes, thank you. It's quite a story. Part 2 really showed us those tough compromises Oki faced, and then that profound shift towards nurturing her daughter's spirit.
And it leaves us thinking, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Their story is such a powerful reminder how focusing on that inner life, on learning, on connection, can genuinely bring purpose and, well, light, even when physical circumstances seem utterly bleak.
A powerful thought to hold on to. And their journey continues. We hope you'll join us next time as we explore what happens next in this remarkable story.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support helps us create even better content.